Hey folks, I want to cover John Haremza's connection with Trader's Domain. Hi, I'm Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO, and several people have reached out and said, hey, what is the connection here? And even John himself and I have had some great conversations. Today I want to clear up a couple things and kind of give a background on John. I want you guys to know right off the bat, John and I are not connected in business. We're not connected monetarily. He hasn't paid me to do this video or anything like that. I've been covering the Trader's Domain saga now for, well, definitely the last few months, but over the last couple of years. And over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've published a list of the top 93 network marketing professionals, influencers, who are also investors in Trader's Domain. And this is something that I want to talk about because John reached out and said, Troy, can I tell you the inside here for me? And I said, absolutely, please do. And he shared the fact that the numbers that have been published, I published these numbers, they came from CoffeeZilla and via Behind MLM. They're the public numbers that are out there. The CFTC has not released any numbers yet, but these were what purportedly came from 2,000 plus documents that CoffeeZilla had received. I have no reason to believe that these individuals that are reporters and critics would lie, but there's always that possibility. People have asked me, what's my agenda? My agenda is first to look at the educational side of this. How could men that are as intelligent and successful as John get caught up in something regulators are calling a Ponzi scheme? I have no clue if this is a Ponzi scheme. I will tell you this, a lot of times regulators overreact. We saw this not too long ago with the SEC when they went after digital licensing, what many of you may know as debt box. And it was found that the SEC lied to the judge to get a temporary restraining order and other things. They had turned the company over to a receiver. The receiver quickly tried to dismantle and get assets in there and stuff like that. And hurt, $300 million worth of hurt. So at no time am I telling you that Trader's Domain is a Ponzi scheme. Does it look like it is? Absolutely it does. When we look at what the CFTC has alleged, it looks like a Ponzi scheme. The fact that intelligent people like John, Eric Worre, Brian Crothers, Mike Sims, Holton Buggs, one of my dear friends, Peter Hirsch was involved. Jesse Lee, who's passed away, was in many others that you see is involved. Many are my friends. Could it be a Ponzi scheme? Of course it could be. So John reached out. He shared the fact that, Troy, I've never sponsored, promoted, did anything. I was at a private event. I listened to people talk about Trader's Domain. I decided that I have a certain amount of disposable income that I'm willing to put into this investment, and I'm willing to take the calculated risk. At no time did it affect his family's livelihood. At no time did he go out here and promote it to anybody. This was his. But once his name became public, many people have reached out and said, well, is John a scammer? I want to tell you there is no evidence whatsoever, nothing in the court documents, nothing in John's history that shows him as a scammer of any kind. Matter of fact, John has written a phenomenal book. His upbringing, his lifestyle is one that's really blue collar, and he made it to blue collar to what I would probably say, based on what I know about his revenues and his business model, he's probably one of the top influential network marketers out there. He's probably in the upper middle class, maybe lower affluent, if you will, based on the amount of revenues that he makes, based on his assets. Here's the exciting thing about this. At no time has John ever gone out there and tried to pretend he was something that he's not. He started out working in a potato chip factory is really where he was working. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a welder at the time. He was helping keep this stuff put together as the machines and all the lines were going. He helped to keep that going good. Grew up in a trailer. When I look at this, his background's not much different than mine. We both had a little bit of dyslexia, trying to get out of high school, and neither one of us really dreamed that our life would be what it is today. Neither one of us dreamed about going to college or do anything. He reminds me of one of my dear friends, Richard Brook, who worked in a chicken factory. So I want people to understand that when we put out videos, when we start looking at stuff, just because we bring people's names out does not mean in any way that they're some kind of a scammer. It doesn't mean that their reputation might be a little tarnished at times, because people might say, well, how in the heck could you get caught up in this? But as John and I have talked, as me and others have talked, same thing happened to me back in 2012 when I was trying to, as an advisor, work with a company that became one of the world's largest Ponzi schemes. You do the best you can, you take calculated risk, you work with companies, and sometimes you just don't know the truth. The fact that John was an investor and he's not part of the business, he doesn't know what they're doing on the back end. Things start out really good. You think, okay, this is going to be great. And then you find out, hey, I can't get my money back out. Hey, they're telling me I'm in some kind of a queue. What does that mean? There's a lot of unanswered questions. But the one question that's not unanswered is John legitimate? And yes, he is. There's nothing whatsoever in all the years that I've known him and all the years that I've seen him speak from stage, in the due diligence that we have done, have I ever seen that he has gone out of his way to be some kind of a scammer or a schemer. Have some of the companies that he's been with left him? Sure they have. Has he moved to other companies over the time? Yes, he has. But has he stayed true to his roots? Has he stayed true to trying to help other people? Has he stayed true to his family? The answer to that is yes. Is he someone you should follow? I can't answer that for you. But what I can tell you is the man that I've been able to start to get to know, the man that I've seen on stage, and the man that talks to me privately, definitely seems to be the same man in private as he is in public. Live well and finish strong, and we'll see you on the next video.